Part 3 Colonial Expansion 1607-1680. Imagine you're standing on a windy beach in Virginia in 1610, waves crash on the shore, carrying the smell of salt and hope. In the distance, the wooden huts of Jamestown are gradually being replaced by more soulless houses. Smoke rises from chimneys and endless tobacco fields stretch out. But this is no longer a story of a single outpost. From these shores, a new wave of settlers was spreading, bringing with them dreams of a new life, but also sowing the seeds of conflict and change. This was a period when the English colonies in North America began to take deeper root, expand, and shape a new society, but at no small cost. After years of hardships in Jamestown, the English realized that North America was not the land of gold they had once dreamed of. However, tobacco became their salvation, transforming Virginia into an early economic hub. Imagine vast plantations where settlers, indentured servants, and even the first enslaved people from Africa toiled under the sun. Ships laden with tobacco left port bound for London, bringing huge profits to the Virginia Company. But this prosperity came at a price. The land of the Puritan people was increasingly encroached upon, and classes became more frequent. In 1622, a surprise attack by the Puritan on Jamestown killed hundreds of settlers, marking the end of the fragile peace. The English retaliated with violence, and the relationship between the two sides spiraled into hostility. While Virginia gradually stabilized, a new wave of settlement began in the north. In 1620, the ship Mayflower carried 102 passengers, known as the Pilgrims, to Plymouth, now Massachusetts. Imagine them, Puritans, fleeing religious persecution in England, carrying the dream of building an ideal society based on faith. But upon landing, they faced a harsh winter. Nearly half of them died from hunger, cold, and disease. Imagine wattle and daub houses, the weak firelights at night, and the prayers echoing in the biting cold. Their survival depended on the help of the native Wampanoag people, especially Squanto, who taught them how to grow corn, fish, and survive in a new land. The first Thanksgiving in 1621, when Pilgrims and the Wampanoag sat down together to share a meal, became legendary. Imagine a long outdoor table with venison, corn, pumpkins, and stories exchanged between two cultures. But this moment of harmony was fleeting. As more and more settlers arrived, the Wampanoag land was encroached upon, and tensions increased. The Puritans, with their strong belief that they were chosen by God to build a city upon a hill, often viewed the natives as an obstacle to their mission. The seeds of conflict has been sown. Meanwhile, other colonies began to spring up like mushrooms after rain. Massachusetts Bay, founded in 1630, quickly grew thanks to the influx of Puritans from England. Imagine early Boston, a small town with narrow streets, solemn churches, and community meetings where all decisions were made by on the Bible. John Winthrop, the colony's governor, called for the building of a model society, but his rigidity and that of Puritan leaders also caused discontent. People like Anne Hutchinson and Roger Williams was expelled for daring to challenge dogma. Williams, with his vision of religious freedom, founded Rhode Island, a place where everyone, from Jews to Quakers, could worship in their own way. In the South, Maryland was founded in 1632 as a refuge for English Catholics, but it soon became a center for tobacco cultivation like Virginia. Imagine ships full of settlers and indentured servants crossing the Atlantic, bringing with them both dreams and conflicts. Indentured servants, often poor young people from England, worked on plantations with the hope of one day owning land. But the reality was much harsher. The indentured servitude systems was gradually replaced by African slaves, who were chained and brought to America from 1619. Imagine the scene of slave ships arriving in port, people stripped of their freedom, carrying the pain and memories of the distant homeland. This was the beginning of the stain on American history, a contradiction that would haunt the nation for centuries. As the colonies expanded, relations with Native Americans deteriorated. In New England, the Pequot War 1636–1638 was a bloody milestone. The Puritans, with the support of rival tribes like the Narragansett, attacked and nearly annihilated the Pequot people. Imagine a Pequot village burned to the ground, cries for help mingling with the smoke and flames. This event was not just a victory of the settlers, but also a warning. North America was becoming a battlefield for power and land. But not all was conflict. Trade between Native Americans and settlers also flourished. In Virginia, the Puritan traded corn and furs for knives, axes, and cloth from the English. In New England, the Wampanoag and other tribes traded furs, a valuable commodity in Europe. But trade also brought dependence. Native Americans gradually became reliant on European goods, while diseases like smallpox continued to sweep through, weakening native communities. Imagine a once bustling village, now with only a few survivors, stories and traditions gradually fading in sorrow. In 1680, the English colonies had begun to forge their own identity. Virginia, with its tobacco economy, became a symbol of Southern prosperity. New England, with its Puritan faith, was a center of religion and education. The first schools emerged, and Harvard was founded in 1636, training ministers and leaders. But this was also a period of internal tensions. Settlers began to question the power of English monarchy, while poor laborers and Native Americans felt marginalized. Small rebellions, like Bacon Rebellion in 1676 in Virginia, when disgruntled farmers attacked both Native Americans and the colonial government, were signs of growing rifts. As the sun rose over the fields of Virginia or the forests of New England, these colonies were no longer temporary outposts. They had become vibrant communities with homes, churches, and dreams of a new future. But behind this development were heartbreaking stories. Land seized, native cultures encroached upon, and a divided society beginning to form. This was the period when the future of America was sown, but also when deep conflicts over land, power, and people began to take root, waiting for the day to erupt.